I want to share with you a recent lesson that I gave Graham on the golf course. We've got some special guests here who are coming to listen up. So Graham came to me explaining that he was slicing the driver, losing shots out to the right, and that was exactly what we saw when he hit this tee shot early in the round. And in just 6 golf swings, we took Graham from that type of tee shot to this type of tee shot. There you go. That he hit down this very hole, a really nice high draw, gained more distance, and he was able to hit it more consistently. I'm going to show you exactly what we did. I'm going to take you through the 3 stages of that lesson, because I know that what Graham was doing is going to be common in many of your golf swings as well. So what did we do? Well, Graham was cutting across the golf ball and he had the club face open. Now, when you cut across the golf ball and you have the club face open, there's really only one shot that's going to happen, which is a kind of left to right slice. So what I was seeing with Graham was that he actually took a really nice setup to the golf ball, but he had a movement where that was the type of tee shot that he was hitting. So how do we change that? Well, I say there was 3 things that he was doing in his golf swing, and I'm going to run you through those now. That was not a particularly good tee shot. So the first thing I wanted to do was control Graham's club face. So during the backswing, without him knowing it, he was making a movement which twisted the club face open. Okay, and then what he did in the downswing was a reaction to that. Subconsciously, he kind of knew that face was open, and then he tried to sort of compensate for it. So when I looked at Graham's swing, at the top, he had his lead wrist, his left wrist, in this sort of cupped position. Now, I apologise, Graham, it wasn't that bad. I'm over-exaggerating this a little, just for the purpose of the video. But when he had this cup in the wrist, the club face was open. Okay, and I really wanted to fix that. That was the first thing I wanted to tackle. Now, bearing in mind, we were on the golf course here. We weren't on a driving range, so I didn't want to give Graham really detailed, complex instruction. I wanted to give him really simple thoughts. So here's what we did. I asked him to take his head up to the ball, and in the first, let's call that, maybe 4 feet of the golf swing, I simply wanted him to take the club face and point it at the golf ball for as long as he felt comfortable. So that would look something like sort of this. Now you can see that from my viewpoint, and obviously you're looking at it from somewhere different, I can see that the club face points down towards the golf ball. If I show you what Graham was doing, he was moving it away more like this. And again, you can see how you can probably see far more of that club face now. And from my viewpoint, it almost looks as if it's pointing over towards the camera. Now, in order for Graham to basically achieve that task and point the club at the ball, what he was actually having to do was change how his hands and his arms moved a little bit. So if I take a setup, look at my lead wrist, you can see that there is some sort of shape in here, there's a little bit of cup. If I make that little move and try and point the club down at the ball, if I move a little further, what you'll see now is that my front wrist is pretty flat. Okay, so that simple concept of point the club face at the ball flattened out his wrist. So when he got to the top of his golf swing, he had a far more neutral position here, and the club face was far more neutral. Now, if that was the only thing that I did, if that was the only instruction that I'd given Graham on the course, he would have probably hit better tee shots. Lost a lot of that left to right curve, but they would probably have been left sort of pulled into the trees. That would have been better, but I really wanted to give him better club face control and then a better swing direction. So what was he doing in his golf swing? Well, he had a really common problem, and this is going to plague many of you, and there was 2 stages that we wanted to go through this with him. From the top of his golf swing, he was keeping his lead arm pinned to his chest, and he was keeping his lead arm high. And he was starting the downswing with a quite aggressive rotation of the shoulders and upper body. Okay, he was trying to hit the ball pretty hard with his body. Now you can see what happens to the golf club when he does that, or when I do that. The hands and the club sort of move out this way towards the golf ball too much. Then what he did through impact is he started to chop down and across with his arms. So when we measured his swing, he was hitting down on the ball and he was hitting across the ball, and that's what was giving him that shape. So if we think about what is the golf swing made up of, well, the golf swing is made up of some up, so the club, when it starts behind the ball, it has to go up into the air, but it also has to go in behind me. So the club basically goes up and in. Now in the downswing, it has to do the opposite. The club has to go down to the golf ball and out to the golf ball. So what contributes towards those movements? Well, the body turn gives us the outward movement. See how when I add the body turn, the club moves out. The arms give us the downward movement. So Graham had lots of the out and the down, but the out was far too early. We needed to change that balance, change that relationship. So here's what I wanted him to feel. I'm just going to get my alignment stick cover. So this is just the sort of cover that sits on my alignment sticks. And I want you to take this and put it under your lead arm here. So it's going to be pretty high under that arm. And then what I wanted Graham to feel, and what I would love you to feel as well, is you're going to make a backswing and you're going to feel that your left arm is pinned to your chest. Now I want you to keep squeezing whatever this is that you've got under your arm, but feel like the arm slides across and down the chest. So you can see how I'm starting to reveal a little bit more of that logo that's on my sort of jumper. So because I'm starting to push the arms a little bit more down towards the ground, that is a movement which sends the club head down. Now I find myself in a much more useful delivery position where I can start to use a little bit more of the turn. So the first bit of instruction I gave Graham was to keep his arms on his chest, but push them down to the ground, and what he felt was sort of down and behind him. Okay, now he needed to let the club release through the impact area. And this is where it came on to the final drill. And you can see me doing this drill here with Graham on actually this tee. We went from a slightly forward tee, but you can see me doing the drill with him. What I wanted him to do on the course was a really exaggerated feeling. Bearing in mind, we're on the course, I don't want to give him, as I say, tons of swing thoughts. I wanted to give him something that he can do quite simply. So I wanted him to make a backswing where he twisted the face down, and then I asked him to keep the shoulders and the chest exactly where they were and swing the arms and the club past his body. They can see that I haven't quite kept these where they were at the top, but this is the feel. Now, instinctively, and this is why this is so important, when I asked him to do that, instinctively, he made what I saw was a pretty normal golf swing. And then I had to go to him, like, let's make this really extreme. This isn't a golf swing, this is a feeling and a concept. And you can see me kind of holding his shoulders to the point where he eventually started to do this. Now this was great because he suddenly started to feel the club and the arms releasing past the body. Because Graham was one of those golfers who had a very, very body dominated early part of the golf swing, very, very choppy and down and across. I wanted him to get the arms swinging more. And what happened? He hit a shot where he controlled the club face early on. He got his arms to go more down. He swung his arms past his body and he hit that tee shot there. He was absolutely over the moon. A really nice draw down the 17th fairway. And I don't think I can do any better than that, Graham, but I'm going to have a go here. So that first shot he hit there, there was attack angle was down. This one should be able to get the attack angle up. So control the face, let the arms swing.